The IRS has just announced that some people will be receiving a $121 extra crisis relief payment from the federal government. SNAP recipients can also expect to see some changes to their monthly benefits very soon. So watch the end to find out if you're eligible for the stimulus check. Now, the deadline to file your 2021 taxes in the country was almost a month ago, back on April 18th, but there are still millions of people who are waiting for their tax refund to arrive. Some of these individuals will have filed months ago, but still found themselves in the same position as those who filed late, as they are anticipating the arrival of their tax refund. Although this can be very frustrating, there can be a benefit to receiving your tax refund late. The good news for taxpayers is that the IRS is legally obligated to pay interest on refunds that have not been processed inside 45 days of the return being received. In 2021, the IRS had to pay out $3.3 billion to taxpayers in interest. Now, if you're waiting for a period longer than 45 days, the interest you get for your tax refund is decided by the federal short-term rate, as well as an extra 3%. So in the event someone is waiting for a tax refund worth about $3,000, there could be an extra $120 added up on top of the interest. And while most refunds are processed within 21 days, the agency is in the middle of a budget crisis. Now, from inflation to the stock market to the GOP, recession warning signs are flashing red all over the economy. That's especially bad news for the 40 million or so people who receive SNAP benefits. They count on their SNAP benefits more than ever during these times of economic contraction. The primary purpose of SNAP is to help the most vulnerable households starve off food insecurity, but a monthly injection of federal dollars benefits the entire economy, especially when the economy is moving in the wrong direction. Just before the crisis, the USDA released a report that called SNAP an automatic stabilizer for the economy. The premise is that low SNAP benefits, recipients typically spend their benefits shortly after receiving them, which the USDA explains has a cascading effect throughout the economy. When recipients spend that money, that spending generates income for the people who produce, transport, and sell the foods. Folks, we have a ton of good news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI and SSDI. Continue watching this video because you don't want to miss out on this. Taxpayers in the United States have just weeks left to claim a check worth up to $1,800. To claim a check worth up to $800. Colorado Governor Jared Polis and state Senate leadership said in an announcement this week that the payments, which serve as a tax rebate, will go to an estimated 3.1 million people in Colorado. They will be worth $400 for individuals and $800 for joint filers. The rebates aim to offset inflation, which is taking a toll on many American wallets. While the latest inflation figure for April peaked at 8.3%, the number is still high. Governor Polis said in a statement, people are paying more for everyday items like gas and groceries. Instead of the government sitting on money that people in Colorado earned, we want to give everyone cash back as fast as possible.
Not increase supply because they don't have the workforce to do the drilling that's necessary. In my district, where I have Electric Boat Shipyard, which has used the Workforce Innovation Act in the past, there are 725 job openings this morning in the metal trades, in design and engineering work. And the existing Workforce Innovation Act, which again uses the collaboration of employers and unions to design a curriculum that matches the work that happens in that shipyard, in the metal trades and other areas, has been extremely successful. They graduated their 2,000th graduate who immediately was employed and is working in that shipyard. And again, that's going to be a career for that individual to support themselves and their family. The challenge we have before us is we need to size up that pre-apprenticeship critical link that this program addresses by passing this legislation. And if you read the bill, it doubles the number of slots that workforce boards like mine in Eastern Connecticut and the 500 workforce boards that
half of the increase in the CPI was due to rising gas prices in March, and the Biden administration had been expecting a bad CPI number. Jen Psaki said yesterday, "We expect March CPI headline inflation to be extraordinary due to the crisis." And Biden said, "I'm doing everything within my power by executive orders to bring down the price and address the crisis price hikes." In fact, we've already made progress since March. Inflation data was collected. Biden has noted that the authorization of E15 gasoline in the country will help some people, even if it's an extra $1 or $2 in the pockets when they fill up their gas. President Biden will label his American Rescue Plan as one of the brighter points of his first term in office, with it providing American families with an element of fiscal relief during the difficult times. One part of the rescue plan was the Homeowner Stimulus Relief Program, which was designed to help families continue to pay their mortgages, but at a reduced rate while employment was hugely impacted by the crisis. There are several programs that are providing relief right now to homeowners. Homeowners have experienced income loss in the course of the crisis, and while some have recovered from the events over the past 2 years, other homeowners might still be struggling to keep up with their housing payments, especially in light of recent inflation. The good news is that there's still relief available for homeowners who are struggling to pay for household expenses, and some homeowners could be eligible for as much as $80,000 in aid. So while certain protections like mortgage forbearance have run out in some states, there's still some available aid for property owners thanks to the Homeowner Assistance Fund. That fund is a good $10 billion available to pay for homeowners who are behind on their mortgages and other housing-related expenses. As was the case with the rental assistance funds, money from the Homeowner Assistance Fund will be given out at the state level, but eligible recipients will be in line for anywhere from $15,000 to $80,000. That money can cover expenses including mortgage payments, property tax bills, homeowners insurance fees, HOA fees, and a couple more things. To qualify for aid under the program, homeowners will need to show they experience financial hardships. So folks, this is definitely a good idea from President Biden to do more for the American people that are in need of 4 stimulus checks. If you guys agree, tell me in the comments down below. So everybody, consumer price inflation in March is expected to have spiked the most since December 1981. Driven by higher food costs, rising rents, and runaway energy prices. The Consumer Price Index will be released this week, and economists expect a monthly jump of 1.1% and a year-over-year gain of 8.4%. That compares with February's increase of 0.8%, the highest increase since early 1982. And according to AAA, gasoline prices also recently surged, reaching a national average of $4.33 per gallon. But the Federal Reserve is expected to tighten its policy aggressively to rein in the highest inflation in 4 decades. Markets expect a half-point hike in May, and economists say a hot inflation report could also bring a half-point hike in June. The Fed first raised interest rates by a 1/4 point in March after cutting the Fed funds largest rate to 0 in early 2020. But the biggest question now is whether central bank officials can successfully tame inflation and stabilize prices without triggering an economic recession. And for some legislation that is being negotiated on right now, lawmakers have been considering guaranteed income programs this year. However, these programs are distinct from stimulus checks as they provide payments each month over an extended period of time. The concept of offering Americans a basic or guaranteed income moved even more prominently into 2020. Since then, a number of cities across the country have been trying their own versions of the universal basic income, like in the city of New Jersey, like in the city of New York, New Jersey, which recently expanded a basic income program there to 400 residents. Each of the recipients is getting a total of $12,000 over 2 years, and the participants are low income and have to prove a hard